This question is related to current policy within the department. What is the current policy regarding deputies driving vehicles home? Who pays for the fuel, and do you plan on continuing that policy?
The current policy is they can go 20 miles outside of the county. They, unless they are assigned on an on-call basis, and then that depends. It doesn't depend on any kind of mileage. What was the other part of your question, Josh?
Who pays for the fuel, and do you plan on continuing this policy?
Well, taxpayers pay for the fuel. With the current thing, with the economy and the gas prices, yes. I mean, we're not going to cut back on services. We're not going to cut back on anything that would hinder the county being able to, the citizens being able to get the best law enforcement from our first responders. We think we've adequately planned. I feel like we planned really well for the next upcoming budget year because that was my job. And with the budget, would like to have used a little higher figure with the gas prices, but the commissioners recommended a little lower one. And we don't know what's going to happen. But if we have to change budget categories, if we have to move some money around, we will. If we have to deal with everything, I mean, we'll all tighten up if we have to. I think that's just common sense. We'll tighten up. It's not a problem.
Not much to add to that. That is the current policy of 20 miles. The taxpayers do pay for the fuel. That comes out of the sheriff's budget. To continue the policy, I think and I was instrumental back in the early 80s. I had one of the first take-home cars, as we call them, the 1982 Chevrolet Impala, when that plan started. And I believe it's been well served. Our citizens have been well served having those cars available when we need them, instead of having to drive personal vehicles back to the sheriff's office, get an assigned vehicle, and then drive it back out to the scene if they're called in. That 20 miles is for everyone. Those that are on call on a case-by-case, it's on a case-by-case system. Anyone that's outside that on a case-by-case system if you're an investigator or something. But I don't look to change that. I think that those vehicles are out there. That plan has served us well in the county. If there's any ways we can tighten up, as he said to save costs somewhere else, I don't see cutting that program up.
I like to keep the policy because people take care of their cars. If you're assigned a car, you're going to take care of it because you got to drive it home, you got to drive it back. So we need to keep that going. Again, I hate to go back to locking the jail down again, but we got 241 inmates. We have beds for 541 inmates. We can house out-of-county inmates for $70 to $100 a day. That's bringing money into the department and into the community. Saves taxpayers money. It solves the problem right there. We have to put a little of that money into the jail to change some of the pods around because some of them are dorms. 3 of them are dorms. When we have the old jail, we can start right away. So that can solve that problem.
Obviously, we have a great group of guys, men and women, that protect this county. One of the things we do in Georgia, in compensating our law enforcement personnel, is that we give them take-home cars as a way of supplementing their salaries. In many cases, our personnel are not paid the salary they should be paid, so we give them a perk of having a take-home car. Obviously, things have changed. You got gas costing $4 a gallon. There are many ways in which that program could be amended. Once I'm sheriff, I will look at finding ways to allow them to have take-home cars, but possibly carpool. There's no reason why the sheriff deputy lives in proximity to another sheriff deputy and they're not subject to recall. Possibly they could team up and drive a car home amongst themselves. But I would have to look at that policy very closely and see if there's any savings that can be arrived at in saving our taxpayers' monies. But obviously, like I said, the take-home car is a portion of their current compensation package. And we cannot demotivate our personnel in the sheriff's department.